you identify and little tips on chandeliers. Start with the drip pan of a chandelier. In this case, this is designed by Perry. We've got a very classic, beautifully cut pan, coffin drops, small buttons, thumb printing they call this, where you can always put your thumb in, and if you've got a big thumb you can put it in. It's a Chandelier originally. Chandeliers normally have a G-shaped kick arm, which basically means that the arm comes straight out of the main body, which would have taken the gas, and then curves down in the classic form and sweeps up. Off of this, as you might expect, you've got a central fixing. In this case, it's a square on diamond form, and then you have your buttons to form swags. Another large coffin drop. So this is all quite straightforward. It is really the thumb printing, if you like, on the main arms that help to identify who made the chandelier. It's very rarely do you ever get the name of the manufacturer on a chandelier, and it might only be a stamped monogram or initial. So this is a form of Perry. Also look at the main body stem. You'll see the ball is hollow in this instance, more thumb work, typical of Perry. Moving on, we've got up here, this is a continental chandelier, very identifiable once you know one as being Austrian. The main giveaway is the metal core with the plaques of glass each side. Now remember, Austria went into Italy in the 19th century and early 18th century. So you find Italian chandeliers in northern Italy have very much the same core body, a metal centre rod. Again, you could undo this chandelier and travel with it and transport it, not so easily, but this is what happened with these chandeliers. They were made for travelling from house to house. Going back to an English theme, this is in the style of Osler. No real recognisable feature apart from the classic Osler shade. Very nice brass silvered fittings, which you generally do expect to see on chandeliers. This helps reflect the light. The brass tends to take a colour into the glass, so the silver doesn't. It reflects it and makes the glass feel white. But in this case, you've got quite a high content of lead, so it gives a grey feel to the chandelier, which helps you to date it more as a 19th century chandelier and not a 20th century replica. So pans for Osler, this sort of cut is very classic. Osler sent hundreds of thousands of chandeliers to India, where they can be seen now on very large scale. They can be bought all over the world, in fact. They appear. They were Birmingham based. We've got here a Baltic chandelier, sometimes from Sweden, sometimes they're from Russia if you're very lucky. The blue glass helps to show that part of the world. It's more typical to have blue glass, sometimes a little bit of green, but generally it's always cobalt blue. Classic in Sweden and Russia to have this dish form, very good for catching the dust. And then the chains within the upswept part of the chandelier, nice obelisk, faceted cut obelisk in the centre, sign of great quality. Small arms, brass, for candles originally, with their metal drip pans in this case. To date this, it's very hard because they still produce them today in Sweden, but they're not common in Europe. But to say Baltic countries, you do see them more.